Growing up during the Depression was like everybody was poor. We were poor, but we didn't know we were poor because all my friends didn't have anything more than I did. And none of our friends, none of our family friends had anything. We would always get together, and the kids would play together, and the parents would probably play cards or drink coffee. Wow, you know what? Beaverville is special. It's where I was born and raised, and have a lot of good memories. I have a lot of good friends. I had a lot of good friends. Most of them are gone now. But my school days were great. My farm days, living on the farm, was great. Farm life is a lot of work. We knew nothing but work when we were kids. I had friends that lived like about 1/4 of a mile away, and there was like a little creek between the two farms. Pick wildflowers, and make crowns, and make necklaces out of wildflowers. There's a rock on this farm, and I remember I used to play house with this rock. I put my dolls there. I don't know if the rock is still there. We'll have to look and see. Everybody talked French in our family. And then when I was about in 1st or 2nd grade, my dad came home one day and he said, there will be no more French in this house. Everybody will speak English. And that's how we changed from French to English. I know my numbers in French, and I know my ABCs, and I know my prayers. Je vous salue Marie, Mère de Dieu, le Seigneur est avec vous. Vous êtes bénie among les femmes, now and forever. I graduated in 1940 from high school. So then I came to live with my sister. And my first job was working at a dime store. And I met this girl who lived in Bradley, a few blocks from my sister's house. Her name was Libby Starcinich. And we would go on Friday nights and make the Friday night novena at church. And then we'd go to the drugstore and have an ice cream sundae. And this night, in September, I'm going to church. And it was sort of dark and windy. And this voice says to me, do you have an extra dime? I'll go to church with you. That's when we used to have to pay pew rent, 10 cents for pew rent. And I'm like, who are you? Monday night when I came home from work, here was Jerry. Everybody knew Jerry. He liked politics and he liked people. Well, he never told the same story twice. He would make a lot of stuff up and he'd exaggerate the truth. It was always his way, his story. He was unique. There weren't too many Jerrys.
You think he was cute?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He was comical. He really had a sense of humor. He kept you thinking all the time. He was a nice man.
Can you talk about the love that you have for Grandpa?
All my love was for him. Living on the farm, I'm going to school at a girls' school, but then coming in town and meeting Jerry, and I guess perhaps I grew up more after I knew him, think different. We enjoyed each other a lot, talked a lot, walked a lot. Life was good. Well, he gave me a cedar chest for my first Christmas present. And he said, fill it up, and when I get home, we'll get married. from the service because we knew he was going to be drafted.
What did he want you to fill it up with?
Things for our home. And that was Christmas, and he left in May for the Marines. Well, he was gone for 13 months. I had to make all the marriage plans, all the wedding plans. It was a happy day, and I knew I was leaving. I was going back with him, wherever he was going to be stationed. Still have the same angels as we always had.
Oh, they're beautiful.
They were painting this church, so we were married under scaffolds. Had ladders and paint buckets all over. But I insisted on being married here. Father Hazen says, why don't we marry you in the chapel at the school? And I'm like, no, Father, I was baptized here. My siblings were married here. I want to be married here. Mm-hmm. So we were married under scaffolds.
Were you nervous?
Of course I was nervous. All brides are nervous, aren't they? Oh, my wedding dress was white, and it was, I remember that my sister and I and my mom and sister and I went to Chicago to pick it up, and it was terrible. It was raining awful, and we got stalled in a viaduct in Chicago buying this dress. And I had borrowed my girlfriend's from Beaverville here, her veil for our wedding.
Grandpa looks tall in this picture.
It's his hat.
He's awfully cute.
No, they got him standing on a box, I think.
What was life like for you when Grandpa was at war?
It was terrible. It was awful. But then I wasn't the only one. All my girlfriends were the same. I'd write to him, and he'd send me these little airmail letters. You know, it was just hard for them to write. They had nothing to write about outside of love.
So you'd write love letters?
Mm-hmm.
You made some cute babies.
Yeah, they were all cute babies. The kids are all nice-looking people, really. There's 2 years difference between Tom and Joe. Then there's 5 years between Sue and Joe. And there's 3 years between Dan and Sue. 5 years between Dan and Jim. We had kids for 15 years. I was a stay-at-home mom. I didn't go to work till Jim was in 3rd grade. I love my little kids. I love the babies. And then I was always here for the kids. And Tom and Joe would have to do dishes after dinner. And I would always walk the babies around the block while they were doing dishes. Then I'd come back and clean up. I always had time for all of them.
Can you tell me just a little bit more about Grandpa as a dad? What he enjoyed most about being a father?
He was always there for the kids. He was always there for the kids. The high chair was always here. And then this table had a leaf on it. And 2 in the back, 2 in the side, and 1 on each end. It was a hot dinner every night. Maybe chop suey one night, barbecued ribs one night, chicken one day. Roast was always roast, potatoes and gravy, and carrots for Sunday dinner.
Tell me about this map.
I've been to every state in the United States, including Hawaii, Alaska.
Is Boston one of your favorites?
Oh yes, Boston and Florence. Florence, Italy, I love. We started picking them up, I think, when Dad was here. And when we fly, we pick one up at the airport, and then I realized that we were accumulating something here, and I've been to all of them. I always did like to travel. And when Jerry got out of boot camp, when he was in the Marines, Libby Starcinich and I went to California by train to visit with him. And then, so that was the first long trip I took, or big trip. And then when he came home from Guadalcanal, we were married, and then I went back to California, El Centro, California, 5 miles from Mexicali.
Are you surprised that you ended up here in Bradley?
Oh, no.
No.
No. He was from Bradley, and I had lived in Bradley with my sister all during the war, so Bradley was home, really. I know we wouldn't live in Beaverville. Jerry wasn't really the Beaverville kind. Well, he wasn't a farmer, I'll tell you. He liked politics, and he liked being involved. He was a village treasurer, and he liked politics.
And you went to Hawaii?
We went to Hawaii in October, and Jerry died in May. So that was our 40th wedding anniversary. It was supposed to be for our 40th. I came home from work one day, and he's like, you know what? We're going to celebrate our 40th early. He said, do you want to go to Aruba or Hawaii? I said, well, Hawaii. He said, well, I called in for tickets for Hawaii. At that time, we didn't know if he'd be healthy enough to go. And we didn't know until about 2 days before we went to Hawaii. I mean, I couldn't even pack. We got there, and Jerry enjoyed Hawaii. He felt good enough to enjoy it. So it was a good trip. He gave me a flower for every anniversary. My first anniversary, I had 1 rose. And the second one, I had 2 roses. The anniversary before he died, I had 39 roses. Oh, he was sick. Yeah, he was sick. I don't know. I came home from work one day, and he said, I worked in the yard, and I guess I shouldn't have. I'm like, Jerry, what do you mean you worked in the yard? He said, I raked. That started it. He never was well after that. An appointment was set up right away for open heart surgery. And he survived the surgery, but he didn't live more than 4 or 5 days, I think.
Do you remember the last thing you guys said to each other?
Yeah, before Tom and I left, he was struggling. And I said, what's the matter? Are you uncomfortable? He said, no, I want a kiss. And so I kissed him goodbye, and we left. That's the last thing he said to me. Yeah.
How do you stay so strong?
I don't know. I don't think I'm so strong.
How much do you miss him?
Oh, well, of course, I still miss it. You always do, Abbie.
You never remarried. You never even dated, right? I mean,
I never wanted to. I had a good man, and I always felt if God wanted me to have a man, he'd have let me keep my husband.
okay. I think I'm going to get a few
I
more.
forgot to tell you one thing.
What?
Wow. One of the main things in my life was touching the Pope. Yes, that was one of the greatest feelings I ever had in my life, and that was in 2001. I did touch the Pope. I got to be right next to the fence, and when the Pope came back, he put his hand out, he stretched his hand out, and I got to touch him. There was 5 of us in our tour out of 40 people that got to touch him. And one of them was a lady who was in a wheelchair, and the Pope called her to the stage. when we got back to our hotel that night, there were tears, there were cheers, we were all talking and laughing, and we couldn't believe it. 5 of us had touched him.
Wow.
So it was a feeling like I've never had before. But I touched him, my whole body just like paralyzed. We're close to Beaverville. This is what they call the Beaverville Slab.
The house isn't here. The rock isn't here. What's that like to come back and then...
It's sad. It's really sad because at one time we came back here, the rock was still here. You know, it's sad now. Can't even tell if that's the barn or the house that went down. But that was also 80 years ago. Life changes. Life goes on.
What did you learn about your house?
Well, I heard that it's been demolished for many, many years now. So, but I feel better that I know it's been gone for years.
Yeah. It's a beautiful church.
Yeah, beautiful church. Look at the stars. Did you see the stars, Abbie?
Oh, there they are. Have you had a happy life?
Yes, I've had a happy life. Got a lot of great grandkids, a lot of kids, a lot of fun times, like great memories. Had a full life. I've had a good life.